Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about a trip my wife and I had up to Airlie Beach at the end of September. This trip was for a purpose. We were going up for a wedding. My wife was a bridesmaid and I, for the very first time, was a full-time wedding photographer, which is a story for another day. Being that the wedding was the priority for this trip, I prioritized my digital gear, but I really wanted to bring film because I wanted to capture moments in and outside of the wedding because it was a 4-day trip. Setting parameters for this trip, I only brought one camera and one roll of film. I thought this would be a fun challenge to do. The camera that I chose to bring was my Nikon F2 and a roll of Portra 400. And I apologize for the wind that might be picked up in the audio, but we're going to carry on. Our journey began at 6 AM driving from Canberra to Sydney, which is about 3 hours. Arriving in Sydney, we were greeted by some terrible weather.
It's cold and raining.
And worst of all, Sydney traffic. Up until this point, something that's been on my mind is what it's like to travel with film. You'll always hear stories from film photographers going through airport security and feeling nervous about their film passing through x-rays and potentially damaging their film, which is fair enough, it's not a cheap thing. So this is my first experience trying to get film hand-checked. Just got through security, successfully hand-checked, zero issues. So good job, domestic Sydney Airport. While waiting for the flight, I gave my wife the camera to see what she could do in terms of loading the film for the very first time. This is her first experience. Okay, Maddie, it's your turn to load my camera. Here we go. I'll walk you through it. Twist it and it'll pop. Now you're gonna need to pull that up. Yep.
How do I pull it?
Oh, sorry. Let me help you out there. So into one of the holes. Yeah. And now you're gonna need to advance the film. And then advance it one more time. Amazing, you did it. Now you close it. And now you advance it again. Ready to rock. Good job, Maddie.
Today's flight, only one drink will be served at a time. All we ask now is that you please sit back, relax, and enjoy our jet start service.
Arriving in Proserpine, we met up with our friends who were sharing an Airbnb with and took the shuttle bus to our accommodation, which is about 30 minutes away.
Time she's been attached to a library book and we've had to return it. That's okay. Anyway, he texted me today and he was like, I went to the mall.
Once we arrived, we dropped off all of our stuff, checked out the house, and then my wife and I walked into town to get snacks and drinks for the place.
I said no.
The day of the wedding came around and it was a super busy day. Everybody was getting ready, people were coming and going. I only took 2 photos on my F2 on this day. One was of the bride.
What the hell? Now it feels very real. How do you feel? What? It's too tight? No, that's
Oh, this is
Yes! You have to let me know. Should I have?
excellent.
Oh my gosh, Bianca.
Can I get you just looking here, B?
Mommy!
Hey! That's excellent. Comment down below if you'd like to hear my thoughts on my first solo shoot for a full day wedding. I think that'd be an interesting video. Let me know down below. Yeah, the day went by, so many photos were taken, and by the end of the day, as with most weddings, you're just completely shattered. So we got home, hit the hay, and then it was the next day. Here you go. He doesn't want it. Saturday was our free day, and this is when I took the F2 out and about. Most of the photos on this roll were taken on Saturday. We walked into town in the morning to find coffee, walked through the main street, and then went for a swim in the lagoon, which was a big public swimming pool. Lots of life here, and I took some of my favorite photos from the roll at the lagoon. I definitely noticed the Queensland light while I was at the lagoon. Isn't it interesting how geographically there's different kinds of light? Anyway, after taking a swim, I took the camera out and did a bit of photography, street photography style, around the lagoon. I really love this photo, the one with the girls with their legs in the pool. I didn't want to get any closer because that would have seemed really creepy. So this was the best I could do in terms of composition, but I don't know, I really liked the balance of the image and the subject matter as well. We got lunch at a cafe and I spied on this little crab in a creek down below, and after lunch we were already really tired, so we took a taxi back home because we didn't want to walk up the massive hill. It was like this steep, it was nuts. So we took a taxi home, only $10, and just rested for a bit. After our rest, we set out with our friends to a poolside bar. To avoid the steep hills, we took a little shortcut by a main road, and I got this photo. It was really cool, I really like it. Hello. It's been 2 days since our last update. We had Bianca and Zach's wedding yesterday. Did a lot of photography, as I was the photographer. We shot at the beach for their portraits, which was sweet. Right now we are walking to happy hour. Do you have any updates for us, Maddie?
My feet hurt.
Oh yes, our feet are absolutely cooked after being on our feet all day yesterday in dressy shoes. But we're powering through because we're at Airlie Beach. I'm excited to see how this film comes out as well. It's actually been quite nice having one roll of film. I don't have to worry about what to shoot, where to shoot, bringing extra rolls in case I run out. So that's pretty nice. What are your thoughts on that, Maddie?
Yeah.
Well said. Alright, we'll update you maybe in 5 days. After a number of cocktails, beers, and stories about reckless childhood stunts, we walked into town again, and this was when I was starting to feel the pinch of photos. I only had about 3 or 4 shots left at this point in time, and now I had to get really intentional. And then I took this photo, and I wish I didn't. Alright, so last day of the trip, 2 photos left. What do I shoot? We packed up and cleaned the house, and after severely over-purchasing what we needed for this weekend, we had to throw away a lot. Our bus back to the airport wasn't until the afternoon, but we had to check out of the Airbnb at 10 AM. So we were kind of forced to lug our luggage into town. Ooh, Is that why it's called luggage? That's interesting. Anyway, we lugged our luggage into town in the 30-degree heat. Us Canberrans were very used to the cold, so we were absolutely melting. And once again, we had to walk up the very steep hill. One of us had got pneumonia, like really bad pneumonia, so he was already struggling. And when we got to the top of the hill, we stopped for a rest, and that's when I took this photo. And I think it's one of my favorites of the entire trip. The second last photo on the roll. Now the last photo was nothing to look at. I think it was just like the end of the roll thing. But that was it. 36 exposures, all done. All in the 4-day weekend that we had up at Airlie Beach. So, with the challenge done, I guess I'm left with some thoughts after the trip, of course, and my initial thoughts were it was quite refreshing to only have to bring one camera and one roll of film. Having gone on trips in the past with lots of film and lots of cameras, it can kind of leave me with a bit of paralysis with what to bring and whether I'm shooting enough, and kind of limiting myself in this regard, put more thought into the photos, which I love. Is that what you think too, Mr. Galar? Yeah, it was really refreshing to have one camera for a bit and really push myself with what choices to make. Choosing Portra was the right choice as well, for this challenge anyway, and my current ability. I wanted the ability to shoot color, and maybe later in post, if I wanted to check what it looked like in black and white, do that. I know it's kind of controversial in the film photography space to convert a color image into a black and white image, but hey man, it's a challenge and I'm doing what I want here. Choosing to bring the F2 was definitely the correct choice. I already had multiple thousands of dollars worth of gear with me, and I didn't want to have to worry about one more. The F2 is built like a tank, so it's super robust, and I didn't have to worry about bumps and scratches or it breaking, and also somewhat inexpensive, so I didn't have to worry about losing it as well. I slapped the 35mm lens that I have on that guy, and it was the right choice for what I was taking photos of. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Perfect choice, F2. So obviously this was a challenge, and challenges pop up in challenges. The most prominent ones were the limitations. So I actually did feel the pinch after the 3 days on the trip. I think one more roll of film would have been perfect for a 4-day trip, so that's a lesson learned right there. I didn't really feel obligated or the want to shoot any black and white on the trip. I personally really enjoy shooting color, so taking more color film would have been a good play. 35mm film was the correct choice as well. Didn't want anything big and heavy for this trip, as I already had other gear I had to bring. That's pretty much settled that point. That being said, I do have a medium format camera that I think would be better suited for travel. I'm planning on making a video on that one, so subscribe so you don't miss that one. Yeah, but 35mm on this trip was the right way to go. Would I do it again? I definitely would do it again. Having done this challenge, I think I'm more prepared for what I need to do in terms of limiting myself for future trips. I think the ratio for myself right now is one roll for 2 days away. I think that's a good rule for me to follow, so I can pack light and not feel too encumbered by what I'm bringing. Also gives me a bit more purpose for what I'm shooting. I think there's like a good balance between limitation and starvation with film photography and traveling, and I think I've kind of started to figure out where I need to be for this medium. So yeah, that was my trip away to Airlie Beach with my wife, end of September, for a wedding. That was really fun. I really enjoyed doing this challenge, and I would encourage you to do it as well. You learn a lot, and I still pulled away some pretty nice photos in my opinion from only one roll of film. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.